Hey everyone, and welcome to the Phillip Show. Grab your coffee. I have mine. Listen, so you know that we always talk about authenticity and how our journeys make us who we are. Sometimes it's from tragedy to triumph. Sometimes it's just however the journey unfolds. And all of a sudden, when we're adults, sometimes what we do is a reflection of some of the things that we went through. A lot of times, people right now are finding the need. I see this all over social media. People are finding the need and the desire to give back to the community in some really creative and awesome ways. Because of social media, we have a reach that we really never had before. We can impact people that we never could before. We can touch people in a way that was just unfamiliar years ago. So today we're going to be talking about how are we reaching the community? What does our journey look like? And where do we go from here? So, founded in 2012, that was only 10 years ago, as a Facebook page, Have a Gay Day now has a global reach with over 1.4 million Facebook likes, 55,000 followers on Instagram, and a monthly social reach of over 30 million.
I wanted to take a second and welcome you to the new location for Have a Gay Day. We've expanded our location into the north side of Dayton at 1902 Needmore Road. On the outside, it may just look like a storefront space. It may look like we are just decorating the outside with some rainbows. We did put in a little pantry that's right over here. This little pantry serves the community. You're able to put things in, take things out. There is no expectations. There is no judgment. Walking into our space, there is some seating here in the front. The seating in the front is an airport-style seating. You will also notice that there is a little sanitation station, and there are some face masks here, and also just a little bit of hand sanitizer. The images that are here, the smiley face and the Have a Gay Day, that was art that was sent in. This has been with us through all of our moves. You also notice on the wall we do have our membership with Centerlink, a partnership of LGBT centers across the United States. And you'll also notice a couple collaboration awards that we received from the local Dayton chapter of PFLAG, which is an amazing organization here in Dayton, Ohio. The security system that is in our location was donated by the Security Camera Warehouse. We have cameras that are located outside of our space and inside of our space. You'll notice that there is a lending library. The lending library, pretty self-explanatory. It says feel free to take a book or leave a book. The items left vary and may not be appropriate for all ages. Also, at times, books left may be outdated with terminology and verbiage that's a little bit out of date. You don't have to return the books. We just ask that you take one or two books at a time. This is going to be like the multi-purpose space. So if you're coming in here, you'll be able to attend things like support groups. You'll be able to attend things like life skills. You'll be able to attend whatever you can imagine. So if someone wants to do something on finance, if someone wants to do something on how to cook a pot roast, they'll be able to make a presentation. It will be able to be put up on the screen projector. The speaker that's here is actually a Bluetooth speaker, and people are going to be able to connect their phones to this, or also use a microphone to connect as well. So this space is another multi-purpose space for the volunteers that are coming in working with our organization. Our little kitchenette is open for people that are needing something to drink, a cup of coffee, a beverage. The food that we have set up here is for the little pantry that's outside. Here you'll notice that there are some baby items. We have these items donated through our Amazon wish list. You will also notice that there is pet food. And the pet food that we have is for our pet food pantry. When people are coming in for our regular pantry, they're also able to utilize pet food. So if someone needs cat food or dog food, that's normally something we have. Again, that's through our Amazon wish list. We put together personal care items and personal care kits for the community. We donated this last month over 300 of them to West Dayton Gives Back in partnership with the Dayton Young Black Professionals. There are heaters. We give away heaters to the community. We do that every year. We also give away personal burners. So people, they have the ability to cook with an electric burner at home. Back here, we have our pantry. Our pantry, a lot of it is donated through the food bank and Feeding America. We have been a partner agency for just over 2 years now. There's a wide variety of food. everything from juices to protein to it's just a wide variety of everything amazing. Mr. Max, which is a discount grocery store, they also help us. They donated the freezer that we have over here. So beyond this space, something that we're looking at is looking for property. We are going to be working on filing grants. We are looking at partnerships, whatever that may lead to. One reason we're doing that is because we want to do things like community picnics and community bonfires and different events that would bring the community closer together and also create moments of interaction with people in the community that may normally not get out to the normal spaces, even like this.
With a mission to create a safe environment for the purpose of equality, education, and support of the LGBTQ community and their allies, please help me welcome the founder and the director of the ever-growing Have a Gay Day, Michael Knote. Michael.
Hello.
Hello, I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, listen, I am so great. Listen, with all these followers, all of these things you're doing, all of these expansions, I'm just glad that you just made some time for us here at the PHILLIP Show. So you have, I mentioned in the intro, it's only been 10 years, and I want to get to your background in a minute, but I'm just in awe of how fast your organization has grown. And I know I talked about it in the intro, but can you just give us an overview? Have a Gay Day. What is that?
So Have a Gay Day, as far as how it started, was in memory of someone that took their life, Jamie Rodemeyer. And we created a memorial page for him. We went to Buffalo, New York with his family, raised $17,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And we were going to schools talking about anti-bullying, talking about what we can do in schools to be better as far as allies. And it got to a point where a lot of social media pages were just trying to capitalize off of bullying. And what we decided to do was to create a fun, safe, happy place that was just random. Rainbow takeovers in the middle of the night, little bits of advocacy, and it sort of grew and blossomed from there. And we've been a Facebook page for about 10 years, but we've been a nonprofit organization for about 7 to 8 years because a lot of the community saw the work that we were doing, the authenticity of it as far as being very transparent in every single step that we make, and they wanted to give more. And so when we were first putting together billboards, doing little bits of things, having the ability to be a nonprofit organization was one of our first steps.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you decided to become a nonprofit, for those out there, when you said that was kind of one of the necessary steps, why was it so important to transition to nonprofit status?
The biggest reason why we made that transition was because of transparency. People were wanting to give us money, and at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we were doing it the right way. Yeah. We wanted to make sure that basically our I's were dotted and our T's were crossed. Because when it comes to charity work, when it comes to people making donations online, considering we're a social media page, there's a lot of people that are doing fundraisers, but not a lot of them are tied in with an organization that is accountable for the funding that they're raising. Also, a lot of people are profiting off of different, again, moments of tragedy. And for us as volunteers, since we're not taking a paycheck, the money that we raise goes right back into the community. So we wanted that. We wanted the transparency. We wanted the authenticity. We wanted the ability to grow and to become more of a trusted name or quote unquote brand. And it was relatable. So we wanted to make those steps to be better.
By the growth that you've had for, and it's really just been a very short time for the amount of connections that you've made and for the people that are following you. 10 years is not really that long in the social media world, but with the millions of people that you have following, whether it's nonprofit or whatever, you definitely have credibility. And one of the reasons why it's so interesting about your credibility is you're just not saying things, you're doing things. Like you mentioned that you were raising funds for the young man who passed away, but you also have like emergency housing, like mobile food pantry, personal care projects, and seasonal pantries. Why is it so important for you and for this organization to be so involved in the give back, specifically because you just mentioned that y'all are volunteers?
True. I think the biggest reason why we're so invested is because how relatable it is to our own journeys.
Mm.
A lot of times when it comes to volunteerism, when it comes to people's struggle, they become deeply rooted into what matters the most to them. And to what matters the most to a lot of us is the struggles that we faced that we don't want other people to go through in the same kind of way. Going through a situation and being kicked out because you're part of the LGBT community when it comes to home or when it comes to church or when it comes to a shelter, or the fact that a lot of times you have to sit through a church service to be able to get a bag of food. I've personally experienced that. So, I mean, even the things when you talk about helping people escape countries or giving people a ride to a shelter or providing a meal that's judgment free, whatever it is that we can do to fill in the voids of service and maneuver within the community to make it happen immediately is a great thing, because who do we serve as far as an organization is the community. And when it comes to who we serve, is it just the LGBT community that we focus on? No, we focus on everyone, because we have to understand the ability to create allyship. And in creating allyship, the people that are opposed to us existing are the people that are supporting us the most. If we can show that kindness to every single person, no matter how they see us at the end of the day, it creates some sort of allyship and understanding the fact of our humanity. And also, they will apply that same kindness, maybe not always, but maybe sometimes when someone really needs it, that one LGBT organization did something above and beyond the expectation of kindness. And that makes all the difference.
I think so too. I think that is, I think connectivity and seeing, I love the fact that you just said that because I was thinking it while you were talking, humanity. You know, a lot of times a lot of people, they hear and see labels. And then with those labels, they hear and see stereotypes and they don't connect and see that the person is a person. And there are those commonalities. You know, there are needs that are across the board. There are journeys that are across the board and more similar than we are different, you know. So I'm so excited that, and that was another question I was going to ask you: is it just the LGBTQ community that you serve? But I'm so that you offered that up. It's just more than that. You're a service organization for people in need, whomever that may be, and I really love that. You mentioned a lot of times people, the volunteers. They're so passionate because of their journey. Tell me a little bit about, you know, your upbringing and how you started to navigate and kind of find your way and become Michael.
So I think most of the moments of my life that have created the passion to make a difference started with, I guess, trauma. A lot of times in people's lives that are devoting everything, they've almost lost everything, or they have lost everything at a point. And it's been to a place where they've even lost themselves. And then in finding themselves to be able to create something where it's almost like an avenue for other people that are kind of on that same journey or same path, to be almost not always an escape, not always a band-aid to a situation, but almost like a clause that you didn't see coming, or that's in the fine print that you look at and realize that there is something that's there for you. And in my own journey and path, I'm originally from Georgia.
Okay.
I was raised in Fitzgerald, Georgia, to something that was called the Move, or the Move of God. And it's classified as a cult. There is like a people.com special about it. It's Googleable. You can look it up. There was tons of trauma, tons of it. At one point, they were wanting to take me away from my family when I was, I think, 10 or 12 years old. But
And why were they wanting to take you away from your family? What was that about?
Supposedly, I was not controllable.
You were not controllable.
there was um, there was some cover-ups. There
Okay.
was deep levels of trauma there.
Okay.
It ended up that my family separated. I moved to Indiana initially and started public school for my first time ever.
Mm.
That was a whole different experience.
Yeah.
But my life is, moving from school to school. There were moments of homelessness. There was moments where I was working in a shelter. There was moments where I quit my job to take care of my grandmother so she didn't have to go to a nursing home.
Mm.
There was moments of ending, and there was moments of new beginnings. So, I mean, in my life, I've been a street missionary. I used to hold signs up on the side of the road for
Wow.
Jesus. I was doing a conversion to Orthodox Judaism. My family is very deeply rooted into the Jewish faith. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to faith, but also I have a lot of experience for people that say, because I'm a part of the LGBT community, that I should not be in a church. I've been escorted to the door more than once, and I've lived in my van. I've lived in um, boarding houses. I've had run-ins with the law back in the day.
Wow.
I had a felony. I had a felony for. I started unemployment. Legitimately, I lost my job, and I stayed on it to try to catch up on my bills. Didn't realize at the time that's a felony.
Mm.
And because of my privilege, I didn't go to jail, but I did spend 5 years on probation, and I understood a little bit more as far as the system. The thing is, that's the only thing I ever did, and they removed that from my record. But
Mm.
I still like to bring that back as far as just the moments of the unexpected traumas or these little things, because it all adds to the levels of compassion, the
Yeah.
relatability, and understanding how different systems work that are created for people that they really shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, it's interesting just to think where I've come from to where I am now, living in my van in the middle of winter, to being in the Lambert rescue mission, to eventually having a home, taking my parents and moving them in with me, taking my mother because of grace of my father, even though they're separated, and getting her out of that situation. She lived in that situation almost 50 years.
Wow.
So it's a lot of little moments that add up to some sort of deep compassion for humanity, because there's so many times that as a human being, I was simply dismissed just because of who I loved. So it's very relatable.
Where on your journey did you find the I guess the moment or the scenario to have the courage to be yourself and then start to thrive? I know coming from a very religious background, like you were talking about, specifically, you were talking about a cult, very structured and very specific. So where in that did you find the courage to just say, this is Michael, and that's who he's going to be that's just who he is.
So for me, it was actually after taking care of my grandmother,
Mm.
and my grandmother had passed, and I was at the kind of the lowest points that I can recall, and I made an active decision to serve. And in serving, I became a lot more honest
Mm.
as far as who I am, as far as my genuineness, not concerning myself with the opinions of others, but instead being honest and genuine with the people around me. I never had a coming out moment. There
Okay.
were moments I had conversations, a lot of self discovery as far as my own identity. But at the same time, I guess the biggest quote unquote transition to who I am today probably occurred as a caregiver for my grandmother, because she, I believe, instilled a lot of the components of compassion, which I didn't realize were always there, but they were.
Mm.
And also kind of opened my eyes to seeing different things, different aspects, seeing my own privilege in different conversations.
Mm.
And it really created a better me.
Yeah. Wow. So okay, so now you're Michael and all of that and all of that, and we're comfortable. Well, as it's a process, self-discovery, I think, is a process, and I continue to discover myself daily. So then you started to give back into the community, and now we're here. Do you have a background in social media management, marketing? How is it that there are millions of people following you socially? What is the secret? Spill it.
The secret is genuineness.
Yes.
It is complete transparency. It's
Yes.
the fact that when you start something and it's grassroots and people can follow the journey, like if
Mhm.
it's through images, if it's through videos explaining what's happening. We started in basically my house in a bedroom and moved to the Key Bank Tower, 150 square feet. And then they said they didn't like the Christmas trees or the rainbow trees. So we moved into another location, went through constructive eviction. They bulldozed our gardens. They called the police on us and wanted to be arrested, said we were threatening them with bringing our lawyers and asbestos and just all kinds of everything. I think the biggest reason that Havagate has grown is because it's not just sharing LGBT content, it's
Mhm.
sharing pieces of humanity. There's
Yeah.
moments of laughter, moments of seriousness, moments of education, even when it comes to us, even moments of privilege, even moments of diversity. A lot of
Yeah.
times you don't see some of the things on other LGBT pages that you do with us. And in following that journey, I feel that we've made a lot of really great members of the community as friends.
Mhm.
And when you're following something, some people initially wanted us to jump right into this huge giant space and something that was just huge. And they're like,
Mhm.
sure, you can just go and get a 10,000 square foot space and you'll be great. And we're like, no, we're going to start small and we're going to build and we're going to probably have some failures. We're going to have some learning moments and we're just going to continually grow, make ourselves better. And over time, it will, the proof is in the pudding, as the old saying goes, or, following the journey isn't where you're just like, this is who we are and this is what we do. People can literally follow the path and journey if it's through stories or news articles or just the literal work of it. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of moments of work, and that makes a huge difference. A lot of people find us versus us finding them.
I think one of the things, and clearly I follow you on social media, and I see everything that's going on, and I see the responses, and I see the similarities between the outreach that you do physically at your location, and the outreach that you do digitally on the social media platforms. And one of the things that is very clear, the authenticity is there, but there's always the opportunity to participate. There's always the opportunity to share. There's always the encouragement to either say something or respond or get involved. And do you find that a lot of people are just looking for those kinds of opportunities to say that somebody values either my presence or my opinion?
I think so. I think a lot of people will interject their personal moments into someone's life
Hmm.
and giving someone a place to just express themselves, no judgment.
Yeah.
Maybe moments of understanding, moments of education, moments of discussion.
Hmm.
It's a large social media platform. All
Yes.
of them are. And it's not always perfect because we have a lot of people that randomly show up that don't follow us, that, like day one, here we go. But at the same time, it's the connectability as well.
Yeah.
I remember we were doing a rainbow takeover in the middle of the night, and there was someone that, for some reason, this rainbow picture of like a knitting on a tree clicked for them as a grandparent, and they were able to accept their grandchild
Hmm.
based on a random rainbow post.
Explain to me and those watching rainbow takeover. What is that?
So a rainbow takeover is something where in the middle of the night, without any warning, without any expectation, we just post like 10 to 20 pictures of rainbows.
Hmm.
It's not an LGBT focused thing, it's almost like a reset. It's just like once in a while, rainbows, and we take over the feed with rainbows. Facebook doesn't like it so much anymore, but they used to love it. And the people that follow the page also love it because it's different.
Hmm.
And all the political posts, all of the things that are negative, it sort of washes everything away with. And Have a Gay Day has uploaded 20 new photos and different posts, and it's all rainbows. It's just like a little bit of a reset. It's like if I ever get angry or upset or, you know, something that doesn't happen much, I just randomly post food. Like, oh, look, cheesecake. Just randomly. People are like, what is this? What does this have to do with the community? And I'm just like,
Nothing.
I'm just saving you all from yourselves. You just don't understand.
Yeah. I love it. It's such a, you know, it's such a, authentic is a really great word, but it's such a personality, and personalities and people are so dynamic. They're not like one conversational. They're not one topic. They're not one thing. And I think that to me is one of the draws of the communication for Have a Gay Day, because it's just not one topic all the time. It's dynamic, like you just said. Like it could be cheesecake, it could be a rainbow, it could be something very very serious. And it's just like people, you know, we are not the same all the time, all day long. You know, we're bonkers, we're serious, we're goofy, we laugh, we cry, we do all of these things. It's almost like a living, breathing organism because it's so dynamic. It reminds me of a person. Well, clearly it's you behind the magic, but how many people do you have volunteering at your location?
Volunteering in person and virtually is right now between 20 and 30.
Oh,
That varies week to week. It changes. And we have some people that are coming in just to volunteer once. Online on our social media, we're kind of reconstructing on how everything works and putting together some better guidelines, getting ready to hire our first paid position for administrative assistant and probably a volunteer coordinator position coming as well. But at one point, we had 125 admins. So I remember there was a moment that Facebook banned all of us, and we had some celebrities that came up and took care of that. But it was 125 at the max. And
admins for the Facebook page.
Yep, just for the Facebook page. Our social media in general.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple people that help with crisis, have a couple people that help with the messages, that help with the front of the page. But social media is changing a lot of updates and trying to keep up with everything. It's a lot. But as a social media platform, we're one of the few pages our size that moderates to the level that we do.
Yeah.
And we also are one of the few pages that has messaging where people can message the page.
Okay.
And sometimes that opens, sometimes that closes, just depending on us catching up and working on all the messages. But we've had a lot of interaction over the years, and also a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes on social media when it comes to how things work on the back end.
And I know that your physical location is expanding as well. I mean, there's just growth, and I think anything that's healthy continues to grow. So kudos to you for continuing to grow even after 10 years, which is, I mean, it's still such a short time. But what is your goal, or what is the goal? Because I know you work with a team. What is the goal of Have a Gay Day?
So the goal of the Have a Gay Day, I always tell people that it's not a namesake, and it's not about myself as far as Michael Knote. The thing that I work on is planning for when I'm not here anymore. And the thing that I plan on is, no matter what we do in the community, it's not about being seen. It's not about Have a Gay Day. It is part of the vehicle and the agency that allows us to create those moments of allyship, create moments of tearing down a lot of walls that have been set up by generational conversations. But as far as Have a Gay Day goes and where it's headed, it's going to be so much. We're going to have emergency housing. We're going to have emergency vehicles that will have different components that will be almost like disaster relief units, where you will find the voids and fill the need. And we may be, focused on education, equality as far as a mission statement, but really it's about the navigation of an organization to not just be one set thing, but to be able to change based on the need of the community, and to be able to maneuver with the help of other organizations to find where we fit in best that another organization may not be able to fulfill in that sort of response time. It's the reason why there's a McDonald's every mile, or a Burger King every 3 miles, or whatever that is. It's not because it's duplication of service. is because we know we don't go to that one place over there because the experience isn't great. It's
Mm.
the reason why we have the multiple opportunity and option. But for us as an organization to be able to have almost like a resource center or a hub of resources and the ability to navigate throughout the community and direct people to what they're asking us to do versus us telling the community what we have happen. So
Mm.
it's, again, filling the needs and the voids.
With you being with Have a Gay Day for as long as you have been with the organization, and for, we were talking about journeys, and you shared, some of the challenges that you faced younger and even going into adulthood. How has being a part of and working grassroots with Have a Gay Day and the growth that it has had and interacting with people, how has that changed you personally?
I think the thing that it has done to me is I always had this deep belief and still deep belief in the good of the community. Individuals, I always have hope and always have this extra level of compassion, but I don't always find that same level of compassion within structured organizations based on the restrictions that they face in the ability to help humankind. So when I'm going into a situation and I'm, let's say, being referred to by another agency, and they say, we can't do this, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why can't you do this?
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm still working on as far as understanding that, but also, again, filling in the voids. And as far as the growth that I've personally had or the moments I've personally had, it should run a lot smoother when it comes to someone in need. A lot of times people say, why? When you have someone that is in need, or are they going to abuse the system? Or are they going to take advantage of this? Or are they going to take advantage of that? And it's an interesting mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't have that kind of mindset because when I think of basic human needs of life, quality of food, quality of life, quality of care, there's not that judgment
Yeah.
factor. If you're going to abuse the system for food, I don't really see it as an abusive system of food when you're just trying to eat and eat well.
Mm.
I feel like as programs and systems go, we almost abuse individuals based on the availability of what we have,
Mm.
even in our thinking. So when you have food, quality food. When I was homeless, I would go to McDonald's and get a double cheeseburger to just eat. And then when
Yeah.
I go to a pantry, it was a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars, a lot of sweets, a lot of canned, a lot of not so much fresh stuff.
Yeah.
But why is an individual getting the scraps off the table like a pet and
Mm.
not first and not the best? And it's not that the individual should get any less, but the individual should have access to all of it.
Mm.
So I look at the way the organizations are set up and the way humanity is set up and the parameters of it all. And I think that has changed me a bit just because when you're doing the work, you have a different sort of understanding
Yeah.
and a lot of things come into play. Like there's a lot of people that I used to march with for marriage equality and a lot of people that did community work. And when people saw that they were doing community work, they transitioned from doing grassroots to political positions or
Mm.
to committees or to places where it seemed like it was more powerful. But at the same time, because they weren't navigating out in the community in the same way, things changed and they changed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that's a negative thing. It also gives you a deeper insight when you have that sort of access.
Mm. Yeah. I'm sure that those changes they're probably very stark just because there's an absence as well. Like you had people doing this and now they're not. Um, so so thank you for sharing that. So for people, I know that people are listening and wondering. Clearly, they hear your heart, so it's so understandable that people can also see that in the, I guess, the brand, the brand on social media. It's so similar. For people who are interested in getting involved and want to do something, how do they reach out?
So if someone's wanting to volunteer, you can find us on the Point app. You would basically search for Point app. You can download it. It lists all of our volunteer opportunities. You can select the shift that you would like. You would come in. We'd get you set up, and you'd be able to go. We also are working on virtual positions. We're working on restructuring the organization just because of our growth.
Mm-hmm.
Every 2 to 3 years, we double in size.
Yeah.
And we move from 2,200 to 3,400 square feet as far as the size of the location. As far as us going anywhere, we have 3 more years on this lease, with a total of 28 more years at the location. So we have the option to renew 5 times.
Wow.
And the next step for us is to start hiring staff and the growth that's coming. But if an individual wants to just come in, look at the space, we're normally here on Sundays, we're normally here on Tuesdays. We're all volunteers, and we would be happy to show you around, give you more ideas as far as not just what you can do with us, but what you can do to create a dynamic kind of community where you are as well. The thing is, or the biggest thing is, for an organization, we don't try to hold the keys of knowledge or possibility. We will share whatever we can as far as our thoughts with anyone in the community, because if we can't fulfill the need, we hope that someday, somehow, someone will do that too.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for being here and opening up our perspective and our eyes when it comes to, your organization. It's not just, dynamic because of all the success with the numbers. It's successful because the heart of the actual organization, and you can see that through the hands that are actually doing things day in and day out, specifically in a volunteer status, even more specifically with so many people who have the heart and the commitment to make a difference in and throughout the community. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to come over there and see what's going on. For those of you who didn't see before the show, Michael has all of these television screens. Now, Michael, those are new, right?
No, they're not new.
They're not new. So see, I'm gonna have to go over there and see what's going on in the world of technology at Have a Gay Day. I told him I'm sitting over here at my little 2 screens looking like I'm playing Atari, but we all grow at different at different rates. Michael, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much.
So that's Michael Knote. And we are talking about Have a Gay Day, their tremendous growth, their huge impact on the community, both for LGBTQ as well as for allies and those that are in need. One of the takeaways here is that everybody can do something, whether it's a volunteer, whether it is something that you can give, whether it's a donation, everybody can do something, whether it's just spreading positivity. It takes a community, and Michael really showed us exactly what a heart can do when it's committed and it's determined to make a difference. So reach out to them. You'll have all the information. And just remember, you can do so much when you partner with other people. We can't do it by ourselves. And yeah, find your way, find your niche, find your passion, and do something. And as usual, you are the best you in the world. I'll see you next time here on The PHILLIP Show.
Don't